thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing, my friend?
Thanks, man. I'm excellent. Happy Halloween. I've got
Yeah.
I've got pumpkin carving right after this. I've got daddy duty. You know, I'm going full throttle. But today, everyone listening, let's make this a life-changing conversation.
The
Let's
most important,
learn stuff new and let's change. Let's do it. Let's hit it big. I'm going to give you everything I got with the time we have.
most important part is tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the Crohn's, colitis, and lifestyle and helping people. I imagine you've suffered,
Yep.
and through suffering, you've developed some strength and want to share some things. So let's
Mhm.
start off with telling everyone a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your background.
Sure. So I was raised in Virginia in the middle of nowhere. And and I was I didn't come up from a family of natural medicine. We didn't practice diets. We ate standard American food. I worked at Papa John's Pizza starting at 14 years old, making 5.15 an hour, and I was a workhorse.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
And I worked at Domino's and I ate Subway every day and I had cereal every day and I didn't really have a lot of problems except bloating and gas every once in a while. And then I moved out to California, New York, Miami. I lived in Germany a little bit. So I now live in Southern California, and I've been here for 12 years. I'm a board certified nutritionist. I went back to school for natural medicine because I got severe life threatening Crohn's and colitis. I was first diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, then diagnosed Crohn's. UCLA and Cedar Sinai kept giving me different diagnoses. And I had my first symptoms, blood in the stool, at 19 years old. I'll be 37 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
I nearly lost my life to Crohn's colitis at 27 in 2014, December 14th. Doctors told my family they weren't sure I was going to live through the night. I was on, at my worst, I was on TPN feeding tube. So I didn't eat, just getting a feeding tube. I was on 200 milligrams of infused prednisone. I was on 3 grams of Dilaudid, which is what you give to a cancer patient who's at the worst. Ambient, I was on 4 different antibiotics, and I was on Entyvio, which is a biologic to help suppress the cytokine reaction immune system reactions causing inflammatory bowel disease. And I was having panic attacks, depression, anxiety. I was seeing things. I don't remember a lot of this. So I've been through it all. And that's really where my vision came for this is I was told I had to get my colon removed. My colon has not been removed. I've had no surgeries. I was told I had to be on drugs for the rest of my life. I have not taken a drug in 8 years.
Wow.
I was 122 pounds stuck in a wheelchair. Right now I'm 180. I bounce between 180, 185, 6'2". I can work out. I don't worry about where a bathroom is. I can go run 5-10 miles. I can eat a wide variety of food. And I have been on every diet you can imagine. Liquid diet. I did paleo, carnivore. I did all 19 bananas a day. I tried everything. I did hookworm therapy, making my own yogurts, bone broth diets. And I failed with these famous diets for a long time until I really learned how to get it to work. And that's what I wanted to talk about today.
What was the aha moment for you on this journey of almost dying? By the way, I'm from Los Angeles. I did my internship in internal medicine at Cedar Sinai and Sepulveda VA and Olive View Hospital back in the 80s. And none of this was really taught to us that I talk about, and I know you talk about it, in healing without standard medicine. But tell us a little bit about the aha moment that said, "Hey, this Western medicine is not working, and I'm gonna venture out there to share something opposite and different."
The first aha moment was I went on a fast.
Mm.
And I said, I don't know what's doing this, man. I'm so in so much pain, so angry. I was resentful at God, my parents, the fact that a fat check couldn't solve the problem. And so I said, you know what? I'm just not going to eat. Let me just not eat. No, I couldn't afford to lose the weight, but I didn't care. Whatever. I'm going to lose weight. Let's see what happens. I was going 15, 17 bloody bowel movements a day,
Yeah.
4 or 5 at night. I hadn't slept through the night in probably close to a year, 8 months, 9 months around there. I'd wake up like a zombie, bathroom. So I never got full sleep. So I just fasted. And all of a sudden, after like a day or two, I only went to the bathroom 7 times. So I go, Doc, dude, I that's a 50% reduction. Now I know I can't keep fasting forever
Right.
and live on
Right.
air, but that's the pendulum swinging. There's got to be something more I can do. If I don't eat anything, I see a reduction. And the doctor kind of waved it off like, yeah, that doesn't really matter. Crohn's and colitis is incurable. Diet doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do about it. You need to stay on your biologics and pray that they work. If not, we need to go under the knife. And I mean, he didn't say that in those short words, but after months and months of visits, that was basically what was being told to me by multiple different GI specialists. So I started realizing the biggest aha moment is that my effort, my mind, my will mattered. Before, when I was a kid, he's the doctor. He knows everything, or she.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do what I'm told. I need to stay in my lane. I need to outsource my health. Okay. And just listen. And if he says diet doesn't matter, hey, Ma, order the pizza.
Right on.
If he says that, mindset doesn't matter, none of this matters, and I can just do whatever, just play video games till 2 a.m. as a kid, hey, I'm doing my thing. And now I had an excuse to tell my parents when I was a kid, that's what I was going to do. Second aha moment is when I stopped being a victim. Because I woke up 4 years later, still in pain, still all these problems, tried every medication. So everyone listening, I was not the young evangelical person who was going to disobey my doctor. I went on 6-MP. I went on methotrexate, Lialda, prednisone. I went on Remicade, Entyvio, you name it. I was willing. I just wanted my life back. Just give me my freaking life back, man. I didn't do anything to deserve this. I'm eating the same things my friends are eating. I'm in college doing the same thing college kids are doing. Why am I the one having 15 bloody bowel movements a day, losing weight, covered in cystic acne with chronic inflammation and severe cramping and pain? So I stopped being the victim. And I think a lot of us, that's the first thing we need to learn is response dash ability. Can you respond to adversity, or is it going to suck us up? And this is something that goes beyond what's the science say. Science is so important around diet. Science is so important around accountability, but there's an emotional part of healing that you can't read it in a book. The words in the book can help ignite something inside of you, but if you do not ignite your power to manifest, to create, to be intuitive, those are the 3 divine powers that God gives us. If you can ignite those 3 things, you are going to have the recipe for success no matter where you put it. Marriage, health, career. Because when something snapped inside of me, and I literally feel like it broke inside of me, this superpower. Okay? Turn pain to purpose, everybody. What's the superpower? Got back. I was done being a victim. I was done outsourcing the responsibility of being healthy to other people. And I got in, and I had just lost control of my bowel movements, and I was a lucky kid. I mean, I had a lot of different stuff, but I came in and I said, that's it, I'm done. And it's like, just like Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about sometimes with his mental work. It's like that conviction inside you. I said, that's it, I'm done. I'm not leaving this house till I have a plan. I'm not leaving this till I feel like I have responsibility for what I'm eating, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, where I'm going, what am I prioritizing? Now I was housebound for a year.
And when you lose your bowel function,
Yeah.
it's such a loss of our control. And it's the thing that sort of sets us back more than anything, to have loss of control of the bowels. We're back to being a baby again.
Yeah.
And as you said, the mindset, and rather than being the victim, be the leader, and take charge of the pain. And I always say the pain pushes until the light pulls. And there's that aha moment that it's time to change it up. So the mindset for you said, take control, do something different. What was that control and the different that you stepped forward to do? And how would you share that with others?
Here's the crazy thing about it. Once you shift your mind, a lot of it's obvious. Once you break out of the anger and the resentment, the fog clears because it's creation. The first thing I did is I macheted up a bunch of paper, and then I paper clipped it together, and I wrote on the front and said 40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was, I'm going to track everything I eat, what my symptoms were, what supplements I was going to take, how, and I call it health boosters. Okay. So health boosters are things that can help ignite your manifestation, your intuition, engage the parasympathetic nervous system, give you clarity. So I was going to do prayer and purpose morning and night. Why? Because it can't hurt me and it can only help me. Write that down. If it can't hurt you and it can help you, get uncomfortable and do it. Meditation can't hurt me, can only help me. Turning off the dramatic movies. I don't watch Halloween movies to this day. Happy Halloween, guys. You're not going to catch me watching Jason. I don't need that in my nervous system. I put on Bob Marley. I watch sunsets and sunrises. I find a reason to take my shoes off. I go towards, I want the signal, man. What we experience creates a different change in the chemistry. Your body is a chemistry lab.
Yeah.
I want the right signal at all times. I want a signal to my cells that says you're safe, you're healthy, you have a reason to live. And get rid of that crap, those cells that are damaged. Get rid of them. And so it starts to get simple. You start to feel just like a 10-year-old. You could do it when you were 10. You forgot. I'm going to repeat it. You could do it when you were 10. You forgot. Wow, I woke up. When that shift, I woke up and I said, it doesn't feel good in here. I'm going to clean. There's not enough sunlight in here. I'm going to open the shades. I hate this messy room. I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to wash my sheets. I don't like making my own food. I'm going to put on Bob Marley while I'm making it. I'm going to put my mom on speakerphone and she's going to ask me a million questions because she's super traumatized that her son almost died of Crohn's colitis. And I'm going to say, Mom, I'm doing great. I've got a great plan. How's your day? It feels so good. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. The number of people that are suffering from Crohn's
Mm-hmm.
and IBS, the number of people that die young and colon cancer seems to be on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
In your experience and knowledge you've developed over the years, can you sort of help us understand what's going on and why?
Well, I think it's a great debate. What we know that it's environmental. Whenever there is an epidemic, it has to be environmental. It's not just genetic. It can't be. Epidemics don't work that way. Science teaches that. It's clear as day. That's fact. There is no argument there. Whenever you have an epidemic of disease like this, it's going to be environmental. The Black Plague, you name it. Okay. So then it's a matter of which environmental problem is the biggest driver. But that's where the debate gets to. Is it this or that? So now just start becoming aware of what environments are driving it or have the ability to drive it. That's going to be air, food, soil. That's going to be outsourcing your food to constant restaurants. You really don't know what you're getting. Those types of situations. It's going to be the weakening of the microbiome. It's, that's causing more of an autoimmune reaction. You're getting your T cells and your dendritic cells more hyperactive, causing more IL-6, TNF alpha, interferon gamma reaction. The mucosal membranes are weakening, causing mast cell activation. Or other rheumatoid arthritis, all autoimmune disease is localized to the gut, which is really exciting because if you're dealing with IBD or IBS, guess what? You have to learn more specifically what all of us need to learn if we're going to live to 100 and feel good. Here's what I want to get you really excited for a moment. For you to live your best life and live to 100 and feel good and not need 400 medications, you got to learn this. That was one of the big shifts, Dr. Rob. When you asked me, so what was that big shift? Another one is I sat down that same day and I was meditating. I said, I'm going to meditate because, the school I was in was saying, you got to learn to meditate. You got to practice this. It's going to do all these great things for you. The biggest value I saw in meditation is it got me to think bigger. I cleared all my anger and resentment and I started having these thoughts. And one of the thoughts I remember, I said, holy crap, I'm not sacrificing gluten. I'm investing in my best life. It's the same action, but two different perspectives. The best me, the best you right now, your skin, your look, your energy, your ability to attract, your ability to work hard, your ability to manifest that job promotion or get that job or get married to the love of your life or have those kids or get that house or take on those hobbies. If you become the best version of yourself, every cell in your body, it's going to vibrate to the world. And you're going to have the best experience. And when I got that into my spirit, not just in my mind, but I got it into my spirit, into my cells, everything changed. I no longer desired to poison myself. I don't have a diet. I just don't poison myself.
how do you differentiate and utilize the idea of the mind and the spirit? Because you learn things in school or people tell you this or that, but you don't use them until it comes from the mind and it joins the spirit in some way. And I know for myself, 20 plus years ago, I read The Secret, and then I read Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief, and infinite books on really tapping into the mindset. And I would say the mind is the true master of all of this when it's practiced in a way that it becomes the spirit essentially. And that's, I think, such an important part, that it sounds like that's what you're sharing with us. And maybe you could dig a little deeper for us to kind of help us the methods that you can utilize these ideas. Because I mean, I talk a lot about nutrition, and we do a lot of other physical activity, but I believe ultimately it's the mind is the master, and how we can tap into that, because there are plenty of people that are vegans, vegetarians, Mediterraneans, pescatarians, and carnivarians. They some are healthier than others. And is it simply what we eat? Is
Yeah.
that simply it, or is it something more?
I want to try to answer this question and help shift a lot of you out there. And this is the thing I can say. When someone talked to me about the mind beforehand, I couldn't listen. It sounded hocus pocus. It didn't seem tangible. It was like measuring the amount of air in the room and then trying to catch it. You know there's air here. You know it's like you need it, but you can't see it. It's hard to feel. And that's a lot like talking about the mindset for healing or energy for healing. Here's the big shift that can help. What's stopping you from doing the uncomfortable things that have no risk, only reward? Where your mind is. Are you really ready for healing? Of course I'm ready for healing. I'm so tired of being sick. Well, are you? Then why aren't you meditating? Why aren't you doing prayer and purpose? Why aren't you journaling every day? That's easy. It's not like you're trying to dunk a basketball on 10 foot. It's easy. It's an emotional and mental thing. Therefore, you have emotional and mental blocks from being able to heal yourself. So when you heal your mind, you're going to start tapping into building three big things: manifestation, intuition, and creativity. When I broke through, I created the journal. I created making my own food, but I was emotionally out of balance making my own food. So I put Bob Marley on. I had phone calls while I was making food. I cooked food for I never cooked one meal. I'd usually cook 3 or 4 meals at once. I started going to bed at 10 o'clock. I went to bed at 2 in the morning for the last however many years. I turned off the TV. I turned off the Wi-Fi. I picked up a book. This was all shifts from my mind. What was stopping me from 4 years? 4 years I was suffering. Do you know how much money my family spent? I'll tell you, it was north of 30 grand.
Wow.
But I couldn't do these simple things. I was blocked. When you change your mind, you make healing your number one priority. You get more convicted on only eating what you cook, especially if you don't know what diet's best for you. If you don't know what to eat right now, only eat what you cook. You're going to get so much intuition. Okay? Start reading. You have a lot of things going on emotionally and mentally and a lot of anxiety. Read 30 minutes a day. Don't listen to an audiobook for 30 minutes a day. Read. Here's why. Here's the secret. When you read a book, you cannot think about your problems and read at the same time. It is one of the best ways to clear your mind with those who have done great things that you want to learn from. Read. Read Tony Robbins. Read all these great people out there. And if all of a sudden I was starting to read 20 minutes, an hour, 4 hours a day when I was housebound. And my mind was on fire with thoughts and ideas, and I wanted to share them. And my depression was going down. My anxiety was going down because it was helping me build a plan, a vision. It's the same thing as having a conversation with a great person. You feel so much better afterwards.
We're so plugged into television, radio, movies, social media that tells us about the problems of the world, but there's really little that we're plugging in that tells us the beauty of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that the fact that the world is actually within us and we're the creators of the world. So to give us the power of the gods, that is to recognize that in some way the pain, I go back to this pushing us, and we either get up and do the work or we remain stuck.
Mm.
Any particular book or thought leader that inspired you the most in your life?
The first one that inspired me the most was Jordan Rubin, The Maker's Diet. Patient Heal Thyself, because he was the
Interesting.
only person in the world that I felt like I could relate with. I was 120 pounds, 6'2". I tried all these famous diets. I've been SCD. I had done it all. My body was so sick. And I was reading a man who was 113 pounds, 6 foot, 6'1", and he healed himself in Huntington Beach. I was living in Santa Monica, California. And I was just crying my eyes out reading his story. It wasn't even his diet that he put in the second half of the book that was as life. It was great, but it wasn't as life-changing as just being able to connect with another person on the planet who went through what I had went through and made me believe that he got out. I needed a North Star. I mean, it's just story and resignation. That's why a lot of times we love to hear story. We just need to relate. If you are dealing with autoimmune, there's so much you can do. And the main point I want to get across with mental and emotional is I've been on the battlefield. The doctors I'd work with had never been on the battlefield. And I know what it takes to get real results. I know what it's like to walk in the dark. The mind, it's like I feel like I'm a guy who lives on the battlefield and I come back with this war paint and I'm not playing. I hope you can feel my vibration heightening. I'm not playing, man. I've been in that corner. I've had to crawl my way out. I know what it takes. You got to get your mind strong. And the biggest thing, you have to realize when you're feeling down, your feelings don't define you. Muhammad Ali got scared, didn't define him. Martin Luther King got scared, didn't define him. You do not act on your feelings. You act on what you want to create, what you want to manifest. I feel scared. This might kill me. What if I never get my life back? Put that away, pick up the book, put on the Bob Marley, go for a walk, get your feet in the sand, the feet in the earth, get that sun in your eyes, and let God's energy, the divine energy, get inside of you and help you transform and get out. You have to have that energy. Despite the famous diets and all these hacks and supplements, you got to start with that. That's my big point.
And you have the energy within you.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about faith in the power of God. Can you tell us what's your thoughts on how we all can be inspired by that greater power that is within all of us?
I didn't start praying until my life was on the line. I got myself baptized when I was 14 years old in Nebraska in a river. And then went through high school and college and had a lot of the thoughts a lot of people have. Oh, I don't want to be a chain of this, that, and the other. And I kind of fell off the wagon. And then and then all of a sudden doctors can't help me. My parents don't know what to do. We spent a lot of our family, we were a middle income family, on seeing all these naturopaths and conventional doctors and flying them to Mayo Clinic and all around the country. And when that shift happened in my mind, I said, I'm going to be the CEO of my health. That's where faith came in, because to believe that your body can self-heal is really the same faith that there is a higher power. It's the same thing. If your cells can heal, if your colon can heal, if your brain, your gut, your heart can heal, isn't that divine? What do you want to focus on? Belief is a perspective. There's no such thing truth is a perspective. There's no such thing as a one truth. Truth is what we create.
Yeah.
I am healed. That is a truth, but I could be pessimistic and say, well, this and but if, then but this. And that's what a lot of times the conventional makes us feel, that there's always a worry and doubt. Like when they say it's incurable. Well, you can go in remission for 20 years, but it's still there. So we're living in trauma, right? What perspective do you want to create in your life? And so that's what faith is. Faith is to walk. Faith is to walk without a pure 100% knowingness, but that is life. At certain points, when we choose our values and how we want to live as a strong man or a strong woman, you have to walk in faith. Those are values, no matter what you choose. But the worst thing you can do is not to choose, to say that you're not unsure, you don't know, and criticize people who know. To have conviction on something is the most important thing. So whatever you do, choose conviction. The answer may not be left for you. It may not be right. It is the conviction to go left or right where you're going to get that compounding effect and that manifestation. So when I choose to walk in faith, it only could help me. It couldn't hurt me. I did prayer and purpose. And here's the crazy thing. Within 3 days of doing my prayer and purpose, the meditation and that plan, I slept through the night in first time in 8 months.
Wow.
And I'm not playing. I was astounded myself. I said, how did I sleep last night? I didn't wake up, did I? And I didn't know why. But I knew that I stopped being resentful. I stopped having arguments. I stopped telling everyone how angry I was and depressed I was. I started prayer and purpose. I cleaned my house. I went to bed at 9:30 at night. I turned off the television. I got in the sun. I started gardening. I couldn't leave the house. But I had a work schedule like, don't. I was busy. So that someone could say, oh, that's the nervous system. Oh, that's the vagal nerve. Well, call it whatever you want. I call it faith. Why? Because it only makes my life better and it makes me happier to create that truth. That is God. It is divine. It is the paradigm. What truth do you want? And that was what I learned on the battlefield. What truth do I want? Forget the naysayers and this, that, and the other. I'm living, this is my life. I'm alive today. And I want to get healed. I need positivity. Positivity creates positivity. If you're around negativity or you're allowing the negativity to enter your brain and keep coming out to your conversations, it's just going to spew more negativity. That's why no one wants to hang out and talk with people who are constantly negative, because it taxes them. Your best friend is the person who gives you the most positive energy. Why? Positivity creates positivity.
Yeah. And it's the people we hang around with, the things we read,
Yeah,
which ultimately determines the thoughts in our minds, which gives us the power to grow or shrink. And it sounds like you're sharing the growth thoughts and ideas and how to plug in to the spiritual power that heals. Tell us a little bit about your nutritional training and how you took that and created Crohn's colitis lifestyle.
Yeah. So once I built the emotional, spiritual as the baseline, the next was actually integrating what am I physically going to eat and take and do on a daily basis. And nutrition's a big part of that. So I didn't know. I had tried a lot of different diets and I didn't feel like they worked. One of the reasons the diet might not be working for you is because you're doing what you're told without intuition, without journaling, without a personal experience, because I was going to build my lifestyle. So what I want you to do, your main goal is to get rid of a diet and build a lifestyle. The word diet is an energy. It's a word that carries a traumatic energy.
Does.
Diet
Yes.
means I'm imprisoned. There's something wrong with me, and it's short term. Okay. So I want you to get rid of a diet and build lifestyle. So one, start using the language that's empowering. So Crohn's colitis lifestyle. So one of the things I was traumatized with when I was working with a bunch of naturopath physicians is that I would have to be on this diet, their diet, not mine. I would be on their diet and I would follow it religiously if it gave me my life back. Well, I wanted freedom. I wanted choice. What was I going to do at a wedding? What was I going to do on vacation? What was I going to do in 20 years? I wanted that power. So I started building something called food philosophy. And it started the day I started healing. Now, the first thing I did is I had lots of experience: SED diet, low FODMAP diet, paleo, AIP, predominantly carnivore. I had done just only fruitarian. I'd met and talked with David Klein a few times, who wrote the book Self-Healing Crohn's Colitis, where he believes you only eat fruit, very specific fruits for a long period of time. And so I had seen all these different things where I had a lot of different people say, this diet healed me, this diet healed me, this diet healed me, but it wasn't working for me. So the first thing I did is I journaled, where I started using my intuition and I sharpened my intuition. That's why it's so big. So I only ate what I cooked for about the first time I ever did any diet that worked. I had two huge changes, but the first time I only ate what I cooked for about 75 days. I didn't eat out anything. And I would go to grocery stores. I'd bike in a grocery store, get stuff. And I wasn't a chef, okay? I was just getting food in the body, working on bioavailability and reducing or eliminating inflammatory response. I had two goals. And by the way, that's what you want from your food. Number one, eliminate inflammatory response. You don't want an inflammatory response from that. If you're getting an inflammatory response from kale, it's worthless. Okay. White rice, congee, is better for you than kale if it's causing an inflammatory response, and you can't break it down, and all that fiber is messing with you, or oxalates are messing with you, right? So you got to eliminate the inflammatory response. And number two, you got to increase bioavailability. So one of the things I was finding is I had a lot of undigested food in my stool. So whenever I saw something undigested, I remove it from it. So bell peppers, mushrooms, a lot of vegetables I couldn't break down. So, and then when I had fruits, and a lot of times I still notice, especially high sugar fruits like mango, cantaloupe, I would get more bloating, more gas, more loose stool. So I started calming those down. And so I kept paring back. Then I'd have nuts and seeds, and I'd feel a little irritated, especially with cashews. Now, when I got an irritation, I would then go study why this food might not work. So I try to reverse engineer which diet was most like what my intuition was telling me. But here's the thing. The diets were just learning experiences. My intuition was going to remain in charge always. Okay. So as the first nutrition plan that ever helped me was predominantly meat. Here's why. I got lots of calories. I got lots of protein. And I got to a point where I could handle the fat, but I realized fat was a big problem we should talk about today. I couldn't break down the fat. I had no bile production. My pancreatic enzymes were in the toilet. I had no stomach acid. Those are the three big things I want to give to anyone eating lots of keto, carnivore. That's one of the biggest reasons it's not working for you. Okay. If it's not working, that's where I look at. And we deal with vegans. I deal with vegans, carnivore, AIP all the time. We see 120 Crohn's colitis clients a week around the world, a week. Okay. We have more testimonies of reversing Crohn's colitis symptoms than anyone on the planet that I've seen. We have over 500 video of people voluntarily sharing their stories. There's nothing paid. There's no pro bono incentive. We have video testimonies. We have one of the largest Crohn's colitis consulting firms and communities in the world. And it's because of this passion you're starting to hear. So I want to give you all that. So number one, start with your intuition. Now, as I did that, I wasn't saying I'm never going to eat plants again. I'm never going to have a salad again. I'm not going to have fruit. So again, intuition was big. But once I started learning that, I dove into that philosophy more to learn, do they ever add certain foods in? Like, do I stay in ketosis forever? Do I eat this much meat forever? How can I get certain vitamins and phytonutrients? You know, what if I do want to add in more plants that are high in oxalates or lectins or phytic acid? How could I potentially do that? When and why and how? And so then over a course of 2, 3, 4 years, I started adding in food. And today I can eat whatever I want. I just do it by first assessing the risk. So write this down. This is the phrase I created to help eliminate a diet and build a lifestyle. It's called food philosophy. Food philosophy is the ability to look at any plate of food and assess its risk for you personally in that moment. I'm going to say it again. Food philosophy is the ability to assess the risk of any plate of food for you personally in that moment.
Dr. Rob Kiltz, another beautiful, spectacular day. And I just want to send thanks to all those for watching the newest episode of Carnivore Conversations. Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, and other streaming platforms to gain access to the full 1 hour